We are just 2 weeks away now from the presidential election. For more, let's welcome in Mark Cuban, co-founder of Cost Plus Drugs. Mark, it is great to see you. The election just a couple weeks out now, Mark. Interestingly, the polls show that what we see here is that they continue to tighten, Mark. And I'm interested in what you make of that dynamic.
You know, if you put it in context, Kamala Harris just got into the race 13 weeks ago, and she had negative favorability, low visibility, and was way behind. And so for her to catch up in 13 weeks against somebody who is the prior president, ran last cycle, been running this entire cycle, that says a lot. And I think she's actually going to pick up some momentum here the last 2 weeks.
Mark, it's Julie here. It's great to see you.
Hey, Julie.
You've been out on the campaign trail with her, which is a new thing for you. So I'm just curious what your impressions are, what you're seeing as you're out and talking to people, and whether do you feel like that's giving you a sense of what's going to happen, or is that sort of skewed because you're talking to people who are probably her supporters already?
Well, actually, I've been talking to small businesses, and I've asked specifically to have independents, undecideds, and Republicans in the audience because I wanted to answer their direct questions, and that's exactly what I've done. And once I get a chance to talk to them, they're sold, of course, but I think, you know, the goal for my going out there is to help people realize that Kamala Harris is pro-business. She's really gone to the center. She doesn't have some left-wing agenda or anything like that. In many cases, she's far better for business than Donald Trump. And I'll give you a perfect example, healthcare. Donald Trump says he's got a concept of a plan, but the reality is the second largest expense item for every business in this country is healthcare. Kamala Harris has said, you know what, we're going to go after the pharmacy middlemen because they're jacking up pricing and increasing costs. We're going to introduce transparency. And I know from my own personal experiences in the industry, that's going to cut costs by 20, 30% for individuals, particularly those with high deductibles, for companies that self-insure, and it has a huge impact. And so when I bring that up, and then they'll also bring up inflation, and that's also a counter to any inflation that they faced the last few years. So it really makes a huge difference to just get in there and answer their specific questions. And I think we've picked up a lot of momentum as a result.
Well, Mark, President Biden was making the case, and Vice President Harris was making the case as well that the administration was making progress on things like inflation and was good for the U.S. economy. That message was not getting through. Do you think that business people like you, CEOs like you, are going to make a difference here in the waning days of the election? Is that what the public needs to push it over for Kamala Harris?
Yeah, I really do, because, it's such a close election. 2,000 votes in Pittsburgh, 5,000 votes in Phoenix, that can make the absolute difference. So every vote matters. And so going out there and talking to people, particularly businesses, and answering their questions, that's what I do. I mean, I've started, I don't know how many businesses, invested in hundreds. So I really can understand and relate to every type of business that's out there, just like I've done on Shark Tank. And so being able to answer all their questions within the context of the Harris policies, that's a huge benefit and a huge help for them.
I'm interested, Mark, why you don't think she's polling more strongly, why you don't think she's actually running away with this thing. The economy is decent. The stock market is working. People look at their 401ks, they're happy. Inflation is moderating. Why can't she close this thing?
Well, it's not that she can't close it. She's only been doing it for 13 weeks. Think of a new CEO who just took over a company and revitalized the products. They're not going to just immediately take off. You got to get out there and communicate. But as I said earlier, Josh, I mean, to be in this thing for 13 weeks and to take on a candidate and former president and to be in the dead heat at worst, that says a lot about the right things she's doing. So now for these last 2 weeks, all we've got to do is get those few thousand extra voters up to speed on our policies and how ethical and honest and open-minded, not an ideologue or dogmatic she is, all those things that really differentiate her from her opponent. We just have to go out there these last 2 weeks and look at it like the playoffs. These are the games that matter these last 2 weeks.
And Vice President Harris has you in her corner. Obviously, Donald Trump has Elon Musk in his corner, and you guys have been going at it a little bit on Twitter here. Do you think that he recently said he's going to give money away to people who are registering to vote? Do you think he should be investigated for that? Do you think that's okay?
I don't care. I really don't care. The only reason that you do it is because you're desperate. You don't go buy votes or buy registrations or get people to sign a petition because you think everything's going great. And plus, it could backfire. I mean, it's kind of insulting to tell people the only way we think you're going to register and take part in your civic opportunity here to vote is if I give you a chance to win a sweepstakes. That's insulting. And, people in this country are smart.
Mark, I'm just curious, Elon Musk is involved, but you're obviously very involved too. Do you think, how enthusiastically you're involved, Mark? Is there risk there in that AOC, man, she blasted you, Mark, for playing footsie with this election, threatened a brawl with you over your comments about Lena Khan. Does your involvement pose any kind of risk for Harris Walls?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, the response I've gotten is good. And it's not like Harris Walls' campaign is dumb. They have me out here for a reason because I can relate to small business. I can relate to people who, are trying who are entrepreneurs and trying to get started. So I can explain that $50,000 deduction for your startup cost, particularly when you're a pass-through company like Subchapter S, LLC, sole proprietorship. I can get into the details and really connect to entrepreneurs and small businesses in ways that few people can. So I think I'm a huge positive. And look, AOC and I have talked about all that. We're all on the same team. We don't have to always agree, but we're on the same team.
But speaking of Lena Khan, have you talked to the vice president lately about Lena Khan or Gary Gensler for that matter?
I've never talked to her about any position at all. I stated, I've talked to Lena Khan and I've told her exactly what I've said. What I told her what I said publicly is exactly what I said privately. That I think AI is the most important battle that we're in, if you will, and that breaking up big companies is a threat to, our ability to stay dominant in AI. But I also have said that I think what she's done against PBMs and the pharmacy benefit managers, what she's done against scam companies, what she's done for click to cancel. These are things that are amazing, but it's just how I prioritize.
Would you want a position in a Harris administration? SEC
No
chair, for
whatsoever.
example, something that has been
No, that
floated?
was just me trolling. That was me trolling. No interest in SEC, HHS, none of that. I mean, what I'm doing with costplusdrugs.com is changing the pharmaceutical industry. We're saving patients millions and millions of dollars, and that's something I'm really proud of. And I think I can have more impact on healthcare from that direction.
So speaking of maybe another cabinet position, not for you, but for another business leader, there was a report in the New York Times today that Jamie Dimon is sort of a closet supporter of Kamala Harris and would be interested potentially in a Treasury Secretary position. You think that would be good for America?
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I'd love Jamie, and I think he'd do an amazing job. I think just having the conversation with him sends the message that Kamala Harris is a hardcore capitalist, that she wants businesses of all sizes to grow. She understands that if we're going to reduce the deficit, we not only have to cut costs, we not only have to improve efficiency, but we have to know how to grow the economy. And that's something Jamie has proven that he can do with his companies and in helping others.
So you're not talking to Harris Walls about positions, Mark, but how often are you in contact with them about different policies?
Every day, couple days, depending on what it is. I mean, they're sick of hearing from me on different ideas to support business and entrepreneurship. I think I bring a unique perspective, and they've been very wide open to it. We were talking about taxes as an example. I told them that, the idea of a tax on unearned capital gains was insane. And, it went from being part of Joe Biden's budget and never being proposed by anybody to not being discussed at all. And I think maybe it wasn't me that brought it on, but it's a huge win. I've talked to them about, taxes, individual taxes. And one of the cool things that in the conversation we had was, there's 33 million businesses in this country. 99+% of them are small businesses. 99% of those are pass-through businesses, sub-S, LLC, sole proprietorship, et cetera. And of those people, 98% make $400,000 or less. And so we got down to the nitty gritty to help people realize and help them realize that by sticking to 400,000 and saying that those taxes are not going up and there's a good chance for 100 million people they're going down, that helps small business. And I think I helped them to understand that. Same with tariffs. There's strategic tariffs, and then there's understanding the disaster that across the board tariffs from Donald Trump would do. I mean, and the impact they'd have on small business. If you think about it, at this time next year, if Donald Trump is in office and he's instituted a 60% tariff on Chinese goods, well, most of the things we buy are made in China, the backpacks, the sporting goods, et cetera. And so Christmas time next year, if you're having to make decisions on what you can and can't afford and everything's gone up 60%, you're going to have to cut way back on what you buy for Christmas. And if you cut back way back on what you buy for Christmas, all those vendors, the dress store down the street, the sporting goods vendor down the street, they're in trouble. They may go out of business because of Donald Trump's tariffs. He says it's a negotiating strategy. He ignores the fact that the minute he starts talking about them, small and large businesses have to make decisions. They may have to say, I'm not going to invest in a new plant. I need this capital to go hoard products before they go up because of the tariffs. I'm not going to invest in hiring people because there's such instability about pricing for the products I'll be bringing in. My sales may go down. And we saw that happen in 2019 when he introduced tariffs before and got his butt kicked by China in those negotiations.
Well, and he's talking about a lot more tariffs this time, as you know. One other idea I want to ask you about is one that, again, comes from the other side and comes from Elon Musk, where he's talking about this Department of Governmental Efficiency that he would run. What do you think of that as a concept?
You know, this is one conversation I had with the vice president, and that's about using technology to improve efficiency of government agencies. And from the perspective of how do you get more results down to the people who need them? How do you get more services down to the people who need them? And efficiency is core to that. And so, you know, whether it's the vice president and her administration doing it, or it's Elon Musk, efficiency is a good thing. The question becomes, are you just going to take a sledgehammer and just tear down departments? That's a whole different thing. Now you're talking about people losing jobs, people who get services that are dependent on them. You're talking about healthcare programs. You're talking about education programs. You can't just take a sledgehammer to that. And if it's Elon, yeah, he's a great entrepreneur. I'm not going to doubt that or contest that. But he's got a few conflicts. You know, what about conflict of interest? How is the Trump administration going to deal with that? Is Elon going to give up his other businesses? Is he going to say, no, I'm not going to do Tesla. I'm not going to do SpaceX, et cetera, so I can work on this? I don't think so.
Mark Cuban, great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Julie.